My parents tried to give my inheritance to their favorite daughter, but my grandparents had a surprising twist in store. I'm a 29-year-old guy from Toronto who comes from a family with a long, tangled history of favoritism. My younger sister, Lila, 26, has always been preferred by my parents, especially my dad, ever since we were kids. That partiality only intensified as we grew up. Lila was the golden child from my earliest memories. When I was 5 and she was 2, our parents threw her an elaborate birthday party with a magician and pony rides. My birthday that same year was a store-bought cake and a small family dinner. That pretty much set the tone for the years to come. As we got older, the differences became even clearer. Lila always received the newest toys, the trendiest clothes, and the bulk of the attention. I remember saving months of allowance for a longboard when I was 10. Lila wanted one too, and when she saw mine, she had a meltdown. Instead of teaching her about waiting or saving, my parents went right out and bought her an even nicer longboard than mine. School was another arena where the bias was obvious. My parents attended all of Lila's events, while they usually missed mine. In 4th grade, I landed a front and center role in the school play. I practiced for weeks, buzzing with excitement. My parents arrived an hour late the night of the performance and missed my big scene. They said they were consoling Lila after she complained of a stomachache. She was fine later and admitted they'd simply lost track of time while playing with her. Academically, nothing I did ever seemed good enough. I joined the math club, earned straight A's throughout middle school, and even took first place at a regional science fair. But my parents barely acknowledged it. Meanwhile, when Lila scored a B+ on a test in her weakest subject, they took her out for a celebratory dinner and bought her a new phone to encourage her to keep improving. High school was particularly tough. Chasing their approval, I threw myself into everything I could. I maintained a 4.0 GPA, became editor of the literary magazine, and helped on the school newspaper, and captained the debate team. Lila coasted through school with a shaky C average and spent most of her time hanging out with friends. During my junior year at university, I was selected as one of 2 students to attend a prestigious summer research fellowship hosted by a top university. It was a huge honor, and I felt great, until I told my parents over dinner. My dad grumbled and immediately pivoted the conversation to Lila's upcoming dance performance. My mom said, "That's nice," and moved on. When it came time to leave for the program, my parents couldn't drive me to the airport because Lila's recital was the same night, and they wanted to see her perform. I ended up asking a friend's parents for a ride. Another agonizing chapter was the college application process. I spent months refining my essays, pouring myself into extracurriculars, and prepping for exams. I got into several highly competitive schools and received a sizable scholarship to my top choice. When I shared the news at dinner, their reaction was lukewarm at best. "That's good, but don't let it go to your head. College isn't everything," my dad said. "Just remember us when you're off becoming a big shot," my mom added. By contrast, when Lila barely passed high school and chose not to attend college, they praised her for knowing herself and defying expectations, something they'd never said to me. They even bought her a car as a graduation gift. Emotionally, the persistent favoritism took a toll on me throughout my teens and early 20s. I struggled with anxiety and depression. I started therapy in college and finally recognized that my parents' behavior wasn't my fault. It took years of work to build self-esteem and learn to validate myself rather than chasing their approval. Even without much support from my immediate family, I still managed to build a decent life. I graduated with honors, landed a solid role as a data analyst at a fintech company, and even bought my own home by 27. My parents weren't exactly thrilled for me, but I'm proud of what I've achieved. That's when the current drama began. On my dad's side, my grandfather passed away not long ago. He had built a sizable estate from scratch as a self-made businessman. In his will, he split his assets equally among his grandchildren, including me, Lila, and our cousins, as well as his children, my dad and his siblings. My share was significant, about 480,000 Canadian dollars. It would let me invest in my future, pay off my remaining education costs, and maybe even start my own company one day. I was grateful for the unexpected windfall and the possibilities it opened. When the will was read, my parents were visibly agitated. Later, they pulled me aside and said it wasn't fair that I received an equal portion. Lila, who lives in our parents' basement and works part-time at a local bakery, said she needed the money more because she was struggling. I was stunned but tried to stay calm. I explained that Grandpa had made this decision, and it wasn't up to us to second-guess how he chose to divide things. They insisted I should do the right thing and hand my share to Lila. When I refused, the guilt-tripping began. They called me ungrateful and selfish, dredging up every instance they could recall of helping me, like paying for medically necessary braces, buying school supplies, and letting me live at home during college while I worked part-time to cover costs. Conveniently, they glossed over the car they bought Lila, the countless shopping sprees, and the fact that they're still supporting her into her mid-20s. Things escalated quickly. My dad, who was a co-executor of the will, said he would handle things himself. Alongside distributing his own inheritance, he claimed he would interpret Grandpa's intentions and reassign my entire share to Lila, saying that's what Grandpa would have wanted if he had fully understood our unique situation. I was devastated. Not only did this feel not permissible under the will, it was a painful reminder of how little my parents seemed to value me. I tried to reason with them, pointing out that Grandpa always treated all his grandchildren equally and knew our circumstances. My mom accused me of speaking ill of the deceased by implying Grandpa might have preferred anything different from what my dad was proposing. I shared memories of Grandpa encouraging my academic and career goals, but my parents brushed those off as misinterpretations. They said that Grandpa wanted to make sure Lila was taken care of and had privately expressed worry about her future. They had no real answer when I asked why, if that were the case, he hadn't simply written the will that way. Lila was awkward about the whole situation but didn't criticize our parents. She just shrugged and said, "Mom and Dad know best." When I tried talking to her alone, I could tell she wasn't going to be much help. Feeling deceived and deeply hurt, I turned to Grandpa's widow, my grandmother Margaret, for guidance. When she heard what was going on, she was furious. She told me my parents had no authority to alter the will, and that this was absolutely not what Grandpa had planned. Grandma sent me some documents to clarify the matter. Apparently, several years earlier, my parents had asked Grandpa to leave everything to Lila. Grandpa had firmly refused, insisting that all his grandchildren should be treated equally. He had even included a clause in his will stating that anyone who challenged the equal distribution would forfeit their share entirely. Armed with this information, I confronted my parents. Grandma's revelation about their earlier attempt to influence the will shocked them. My dad tried to defend himself, saying they were just thinking of Lila's future, but I could see the guilt written all over their faces. Grandma acted immediately. She contacted the other executor of the will and the family attorney, as well as my dad's siblings, who were equally outraged by what he was trying to do. Together, they stopped my dad's plan and ensured that the will would be honored exactly as written. Though my parents were forced to back off, they were furious with me. They said I should have handled everything within the family instead of turning everyone against them. My mother sobbed, accusing me of breaking up the family and betraying them. I told her I'd never expected anything from them anyway. Then my dad threatened to cut me out of their own will completely if I accepted the inheritance. He even said I wouldn't be welcome in their house anymore. My mother delivered the final blow, saying that my decision to keep the money proved I never really loved them, and that I only cared about profiting from their passing. The entire ordeal split the extended family. Some of my cousins supported me, saying they understood the long-standing favoritism and respected me for standing up for myself. Others thought I should have given in to preserve peace, believing family harmony mattered more than money. My dad's siblings were on my side, but it still strained their relationship with him. Lila found herself caught in the middle. She told me privately that she felt bad and never asked for any of this, but she wasn't ready to challenge our parents. She's been dependent on them her whole life and doesn't know how to defy them, so I can't completely blame her. Still, a part of me wishes she'd defend me just once. This whole situation brought up old pain and resentment. I keep thinking of all the times I was overlooked or dismissed in favor of Lila. The birthdays, the school events, the achievements that went unnoticed. It feels like this one event has brought a lifetime of unfairness to the surface. Although the conflict has caused a major rift in the family, I'm standing my ground. I'm going to accept my inheritance as Grandpa intended. My parents hardly speak to me now, and family gatherings have become painfully awkward. I skipped our monthly family dinner last week for the first time ever because I couldn't stand the cold shoulders and accusing looks. Despite everything, a small part of me feels empowered. For the first time in my life, I'm confronting my parents' unfair treatment. I'm standing up for myself and refusing to be written off. It's both painful and liberating. But the family drama is exhausting. I haven't felt this drained since college. My anxiety attacks have returned, and I'm considering going back to therapy to cope with the stress. Am I wrong for standing my ground and accepting what's rightfully mine? Should I have just given Lila the money to keep the peace? I'm tired of being the family scapegoat, but I'm terrified of losing my family entirely. Any guidance or perspective would mean a lot. Update. 6 months later. Since my first post 6 months ago, a lot has happened. I want to thank everyone for their support and advice. It truly kept me strong during this difficult time. Starting with the legal side of things, many of you encouraged me to consult a lawyer, and I did. He confirmed that I had every right to inherit what Grandpa left me and that what my dad tried to do was not legally acceptable. He helped me document everything and prepare to take action if necessary. Fortunately, things didn't come to that. With the help of my grandmother, her lawyer, and my dad's siblings, everything was resolved without involving court. I received my full inheritance, and the will was carried out exactly as intended because of his will. Because of my dad's attempt to reinterpret the will, he was removed as co-executor. It was a stressful process that stretched over several weeks. My parents even threatened legal action. There were tense meetings and heated phone calls, but in the end, the law was clear, and they had to back off. Even now, the family fallout continues and has been intense. At first, my parents doubled down on their stance. They accused me of being greedy and neglecting my sister. They even tried to rally other family members against me, spreading rumors that I had somehow manipulated Grandpa into giving me money. Thankfully, most of the family saw through their attempts. About a month after the will was finalized, there was a particularly awful incident at a family gathering. My aunt was hosting, and my parents showed up uninvited. They started shouting about how I had taken from Lila and turned grandma against them. My dad claimed I had destroyed precious family memories. My mother even threw an old photo album at my feet. It was humiliating and painful. It took several relatives to calm them down and finally convince them to leave. Through all this, my grandmother proved to be my greatest ally. She shared stories about how Grandpa had always been proud of my accomplishments and wanted to ensure every grandchild had an equal chance in life. She even revealed that Grandpa had kept a scrapbook filled with my achievements, newspaper clippings from academic awards, copies of my university acceptance letters, and even the program from that school play they missed years ago. Hearing that was both heartbreaking and comforting. Grandma also took it upon herself to set the record straight with the wider family. She organized a gathering, without my parents present, where she laid out the full history of their favoritism. She brought up things I'd long forgotten, and even stories I'd never heard before. Having someone finally acknowledge the unfairness I'd lived through was deeply validating, though it reopened old wounds. As for Lila, she eventually found her voice amid the chaos. She came to me one evening and apologized for not standing up for me earlier. After some deep reflection and several long talks with Grandma, she admitted that she'd known our parents' favoritism was wrong but had been too afraid to speak up. We talked for hours about our childhood and how it had shaped both of us. Lila confessed that being the favorite wasn't as great as it looked. She never learned how to stand on her own and felt constant pressure to live up to our parents' expectations. She told stories of times when she wanted to accomplish something by herself, only for our parents to step in and take over, robbing her of the chance to learn from her mistakes. That conversation marked a real turning point in our relationship. We began slowly repairing the sibling bond that our parents' favoritism had damaged. We started meeting regularly for coffee, supporting each other as we both tried to heal. Then, to everyone's surprise, Lila announced she was going to use her inheritance to go to college. She said that seeing me stand up for myself had inspired her to take control of her own life. Once she decided what she wanted to study, she enrolled in a community college nearby, with plans to transfer to a 4-year university later. Our parents were shocked, especially my dad. They finally seemed to realize, maybe for the first time, that their constant coddling hadn't actually helped her. Their reactions have shifted over time. At first, they lashed out at both of us, trying to guilt Lila into dropping out and helping the family. They claimed I had turned her against them. When that didn't work, their approach softened. After several long talks with Grandma and seeing how much Lila was changing, my mom began to recognize the harm her actions had caused. She made the first move toward reconciliation. She even started therapy to work on her issues and eventually reached out to apologize, admitting she had been unfair and asking for a chance to make things right. It's been a slow process, but I'm cautiously hopeful. I'm keeping strong boundaries, though. I've learned how important they are. My dad, unfortunately, has been far less willing to take responsibility. Still angry, he insists he's the victim in all this. He's been distant toward Lila since she chose to pursue college and barely speaks to me at all. At times, he's tried to regain control, threatening to sell our childhood home or offering forgiveness if we just admit we were wrong. Despite the pain, Lila and I are standing firm together. It hurts to see our father push both of his children away like this, but for the first time, we're united. The dynamics in our extended family have changed dramatically. I now live closer to my dad's siblings, who've been incredibly supportive, as has my grandmother. Hearing my aunts and uncles talk about the way they've had to handle my dad's difficult behavior over the years has made me feel less alone in all this. I've also grown much closer to some of my cousins, the ones who stood by me through everything. We even started a monthly cousins' dinner so we can all catch up, free from the tension of the older generation's drama. As for me, I've been using my inheritance wisely. I paid off all my student loans and now enjoy a new sense of financial freedom. With the help of a financial advisor, I've built a diversified investment portfolio, and I've even set aside some funds to possibly start my own company in the future. One idea I've been exploring is opening a community center that offers affordable mental health support and financial literacy programs. But honestly, the most meaningful way I've used the money so far has been to continue therapy for myself and help Lila start hers. We're both learning to set healthy boundaries with our parents and slowly healing from the emotional neglect of our childhood. It's a long road, but I already feel like I'm growing in knowledge and strength, learning how to overcome emotional neglect and years of favoritism. This entire experience has brought some surprising positives into my life. I now understand the importance of boundaries and how to stand up for myself. Though I know I did the right thing, it hasn't been easy. There are still tough days, but I feel proud that I resisted guilt and pressure. One of the most unexpected outcomes has been a shift in my career path. Facing this family conflict and going through therapy helped me realize how passionate I am about helping others who've experienced the same kind of dysfunction. I'm now seriously considering returning to school to specialize in counseling for adult children of emotionally immature parents and become a family therapist. I've also started volunteering at a local youth center that supports kids from difficult family situations. Being able to offer the kind of encouragement I wish I'd had growing up feels incredibly meaningful. I'm even thinking about using part of my inheritance to create a scholarship fund for young people from similar backgrounds. My relationship with Lila keeps getting stronger. Once a month, we have a siblings day, where it's just the two of us doing something fun. Our recent hike and picnic was the most relaxed and connected we felt since childhood. Without our parents' influence, we're finally rebuilding our bond on our own terms. Things with my parents, however, remain complicated. My mom has been trying to rebuild our relationship. She's attending therapy regularly and has started to recognize the harm her favoritism caused. We've had a few one-on-one lunches where we talked honestly, though sometimes painfully, about the past and what comes next. It's not perfect, but I can see slow progress. My dad, on the other hand, still refuses to take responsibility. He insists he's done nothing wrong and that Lila and I should be more grateful. He won't even be in the same room with me, missing several family gatherings because of it. It hurts, but I'm learning to let go of my need to change how he sees things. I can't control his reactions, only my own. Through it all, Grandma Margaret has been our rock. She often shares stories about Grandpa and how proud he was of us for standing up for ourselves. Her constant belief in justice and understanding has made her an incredible mediator in our family conflicts. This entire journey has taught me a lot about what family really means. I've realized that sometimes the family you choose can be more supportive than the one you were born into. I've also grown much closer to my aunts, uncles, and cousins who stood by me, and I've built a circle of friends who truly care. Learning to set limits and practice self-care has become essential. I'm getting better at saying no to situations that threaten my mental health, and I've stopped feeling guilty for putting my well-being first. For so long, I was obsessed with earning my parents' approval, always postponing my own interests and happiness. To anyone facing similar struggles, here's my advice. Don't let anyone make you feel bad for standing up for what's rightfully yours, even if it causes conflict. Defending yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. Family dynamics can be messy, but you deserve fairness and respect. It's never too late to start creating the life you deserve. See a therapist if you need to. Surround yourself with supportive people. Set boundaries. Remember, your worth isn't defined by how your family treats you. It's defined by who you are. To everyone who shared advice and encouragement, thank you. Your words meant more than you could imagine during one of the hardest times of my life. The road hasn't been easy, but I'm finally excited about the future and more confident than I've felt in years. I don't know exactly where this new chapter will take me, but I'm determined to end the cycle of favoritism and build healthier, more loving relationships in my own future family. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more powerful real-life stories happening around you.